It's the MVWF podcast with Damian Andrews and Eddie Stank.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Kills me.
Alrighty, folks, we are post-Danger Zone here tonight and pre-Kings of War 2. What an event we just saw in the MVWF in the go-home show for Kings of War 2 this coming week ago a week from today. Don't do drugs, that's right. I am Damian Andrews. I am your host. I just called all that. And I am here with one half of the booking committee, Eddie Stank. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, David?
Let's see. So let's review the show that we just had. Wow. I mean, some of the predictions here tonight were pretty interesting. I mean, let's just start off with how we started the show. AJ the Giant defeating the Shadow King to become the new Super 32 champion. What do you think? That was your prediction, was it not?
It was, but that was almost... Giant almost lost that one. I mean, you can't knock the Shadow King. I thought the exorcism thing was a new touch. That really definitely added to the finesse.
Yeah, the Shadow King deciding to pull some new black magic we've never seen, forcing the restart to the match, nearly having everything slip away with the interference of AJ the Giant's his former manager, Brandon Bones. I mean, everything got thrown at AJ today and still came out victorious. Yeah,
I mean, he definitely persevered, but I don't know. Did you notice a trend in that event that Brandon Bones was out to get all the Jacksons except for Nick?
Yeah, it would seem to be the thing that's going on right now, because wouldn't be the last time we saw Brandon Bones all night tonight. Of course, we saw him in the Battle Royal. He was eliminated and then interfered like a fucking maniac during the main event. But you know what? Let's get to that in a minute. By the way, AJ the Giant, no rest for the weary, will be going one-on-one with Ryan Doyle, former Super 32 champion, at Kings of War 2. What do you think, Eddie Stank?
I think it's a really bad matchup for the Giant. He does not do well with submission guys, and Doyle brings power. Mm-hmm. So he's not just a one-dimensional wrestler. He's got multiple dimensions, and it takes a lot to put Ryan Doyle down. Yeah. So I don't see this as a good matchup for the Giants, but it's a test. All champions have to go through it, and if you can get through Doyle, then you've got something to prove. I don't think they fought one-on-one, or maybe they did once in year one.
Well, they have. I mean, but the point of fact to pay attention to here is that the dynamic of this match coming up is the fact that AJ the Giant, all throughout his match with the Shadow King, had one goal in mind: the bear hug. He needed to hit that bear hug. And once he got it, he got it.
Oh. Well, that's been the downfall of Shadow King twice now.
Goddamn, trying to make the goddamn picture on the screen fit. Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, Doyle has that midsection injury that's been plaguing him. He still wears tape around his chest, trying to support those ribs. Super vulnerable to the bear hug.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen is the Giants not going to try to go for that for some reason. They'll try to find some other avenue to hurt Doyle. But instead of doing what he should go for his weakness, but
Doyle's neck is bothering him. Of course, he's also wearing a knee brace and stuff. But again, it always comes back to the same thing. Doyle fights best when he's hurt. Yeah,
that's the thing. You can never count Doyle out. So it'll be a good matchup. It'll be a good fight. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, Doyle didn't look like he got too banged up in that Battle Royal he was in earlier today. Not like the Giant. The Giant took a beating from Shadow King.
He was bleeding. He got eliminated. I guess we'll move on to the Battle Royal then. Adrian Knight, surprising everybody, looking to make a comeback here in the MVWF. Adrian Knight finds himself as the fourth man in the upcoming six-way match for the number one contendership for the World Championship after the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing that Adrian Knight's in there with Mr. Nightmare again. They seem to keep crossing paths even though they're trying to do their own thing. Have you noticed that?
Yes. And
so that should be, see if they kind of work together to get some guys out in that six-man and then
Right.
Themselves.
Well, the Battle Royal last week was pretty much the same story. Mr. Nightmare was in that one, and him and Adrian Knight were at each other's fucking throats ever since they had that one-on-one match that Adrian Knight won.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, you can't count anybody out. We'll see who the new combatants to join the Battle Royal are in our next Battle Royal in, 2 weeks?
Yep.
5 and 6, I believe.
Absolutely. Now, Adrian Knight now joins 3 other gentlemen as we transition to the 3-way match. What a match that surprisingly was. Those guys, Cube, Mr. Nightmare, and Turbotron, left nothing to be questioned. I mean, they hit each other with everything they had. And Cube coming out victorious, kind of validating that promo he cut last week, demanding that somebody start thinking about that championship match that he earned in Season 1, but has yet to receive here now in Season 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's just reiterating that he is a person to be reckoned with, and especially with his impending claim to a title shot, per se.
Yeah.
But, it was a convincing win for Q, but you still got to go through 3 other guys in order to get that title shot that he claims he deserves.
Sure. I mean, it doesn't look like the booking committee is actually going to follow it, but Cube's got this. He's got this beef now that he's kind of put his chips on the table and explained this is kind of where I'm at. And now a Battle Royal victory and this victory in the 3-way match really giving him that spotlight that he really needs to, where one way or the other he seems determined to make this an inevitability.
Yeah, it's a nice little run for him. I mean, he's got some momentum going into this 6-man Battle Royal thing he's got going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could be a force to be reckoned with, but there's a lot of guys in line for that title right now, and we'll get to that later.
Now, the match that, who did you pick in that match? You said Mr. Nightmare, right?
I did pick Nightmare, yes. So I was 2 for, 3 for 2?
Yeah. Let me just back up here. What were my predictions here?
I lost Doyle, and I lost in that one.
Yeah. So I picked Shadow King over AJ. I picked Mr. Nightmare to win his match, and I also picked Kenny Omega to beat the Destroyer Nick Jackson. I mean, quite the upset right here. And the story also being told with the tag team champions that Nick Jackson, the Destroyer Nick Jackson, that is, continuing to climb his way up the ladder. And, I mean, he's got some victories under his belt now. He's getting to be kind of undeniable, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest upset we've seen in a while, short of local talent beating Nick year 2.
Yeah.
So I think this was a very, very convincing win to show how far Nick's come, and I think it's Nick's most prominent win in his career, even more than the 6 eliminations he had in that 8-man tag, or 5 eliminations.
Sure.
I mean, that gives him some push, I would think. So he'd be a former champion and a former headliner of
Tokyo
Japan's events.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, few people in wrestling right now have more credentials than a guy like Kenny Omega. He continues to be on his own. Not that I want to get into AEW storylines and stuff, but Kenny Omega is on something of a spotty record these days. And the Destroyer Nick Jackson defeating him today really is going to give him a boost in a very unexpected way. So I'm going to have to, on second thought, I'm going to have to put another idea on the table, even if it means changing something we've already announced.
Well, we'll have to have that discussion then.
So,
but I want to point out, though, something about this match.
Okay.
Let's not forget that Nick kicked out of Omega's finisher, which has only been done once before prior, according to Damien.
Yep.
And on top of that, the distraction by, I believe it was Nick Jackson, it could have been Matt, prevented a win earlier in that match.
Yep.
So he didn't just overcome one hurdle.
Yep.
2 to come out with that victory.
Yeah.
Much like AJ did against Shadow King with Brandon Bones interrupting and having Honkulus interrupt in the first match also before the reset.
Sure, it was definitely a tough night for the referees trying to keep outside interference from taking place and stuff. There just seemed to be nothing to hold back the tide. Bones interfering in several places. Jesus Christ, running in on the Kyle Empire match. I mean, interference by Honky Lips during the Shadow King match. The fucking bullshit black magic that was being used. I mean, Matt Jackson stepped in Kenny Omega's stead at one point during the Destroyers match. Pretty crazy night altogether and stuff. So here's my idea. You know what? I mean, truth be told, I think that the Destroyer, Nick Jackson, has a claim to a title shot. A Super 32 title shot. I propose, I mean, does he have better claim to a title shot than Doyle? Or does Doyle's legacy plus the Destroyer Nick Jackson's winning record right now make it a three-way match? Or do we just ignore it altogether?
I personally would like to see the Giant versus Nick over Giant versus Doyle.
Yeah.
And honestly, Doyle's beef is not with the Giant. Doyle's beef is with Shadow King.
Right.
So, I'm not opposed to the idea of having AJ fight Nick. I don't like the idea of a three-way because at this point there should be matches that are more beneficial to the Giant than putting him in situations where he has to overcome more obstacles, i.e. always having people ringside whenever he wrestles, but not having anyone else there ringside for him.
Right.
So I'm going to vote with, I'll have to talk to him, but I'm leaning more toward the idea of going with the Nick versus AJ brother avenue.
Well, I guess you'll have to have yourself a booking committee to come up with that, to make that decision. You'll have to let us know at a later time. We will find out next week. A week from fucking today, goddammit, if I could just say it right.
Is it your first day with new words today? Did you just learn English language?
I are a high school graduate, and I do not like your editorial tone.
You went to Albernia? You got your education? You're really funking out?
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever works.
So, moving right along, and by the way, a series of tremendous matches here tonight. Not a lot of the long, 25-minute, half-hour epics, but these sprints and stuff like that were, well, I mean, I would say the championship match tonight was definitely a fucking epic. But point of fact, though, is that we didn't have any really long, super long matches today and stuff like that, but lots of fucking action stuffed into the 1 hour and 14-minute show tonight. And let's move along to the main event, the no DQ #1 contendership match. Kyle Empire defeating Kevin Welch in spite of Brandon Bones' violent attack to the knees of Kyle Empire again. And boy, was he showing his poker face tonight.
I don't know how he did that. I don't even know how he comes back to wrestle next week, to be completely honest. With the damage, I think he got hit at least 5 times in the knee.
Yeah. And you know who's...
Going back 1 week before then.
You know who's waiting to attack his knee during that title match? Rock Holly and his figure 4.
Oh, definitely. That just sets up Rock Holly to know full well. He'll throw the PPH at him, and he'll walk that in. So I think, personally, I'm not 100% sure that Kyle's going to be able to wrestle next week.
Right.
I'm being honest. Just by the way it looked, I mean, unless he had some miraculous comeback. But he looked pretty beat up. But he looked pretty good again. I mean, he hung in there. Adrenaline probably took over. And that's what led him to getting to where he got to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was a hell of a fucking match.
Yeah, it was. I mean, a great way to step up into the main event for a first championship match. We'll get to that in just a second. So at the end of the episode, I ran down all of the matches for the upcoming pay-per-view, Kings of War 2. For those of you who are with us in Season 2, if you remember that pay-per-view, that was where the Shadow King made his debut. That was where Kevin Welch got his first championship match against Doyle, and of course the tremendous setup with a hot Asian wife, who we have not seen in a good God long time now. So much concern about her well-being, considering the last person we saw her with was the Shadow King. Lots of rumors, lots of innuendo about what's going on with her. But Eddie Stank, what do you say we run down this card one more time and make some predictions?
Sure.
Okay, so in our opening match, Cube will face Little Bitch Ass.
I'm going to go with Cube on his momentum that he has right now. He's on a pretty good run. I guess Cube's going to win that one first in a row.
Okay, Cube. I'm with you on that one. Paul Jobber versus Kid Christian.
You know what? It's time for Paul Jobber to pick up a win.
Okay. Who will be the tag team champions? Oh, yeah, I'm going with Kid Christian.
I was going to say it for you, but...
Hold on just 1 second. Let me just put you on pause here for a second. I got to This fucking microphone is not doing great right now, or the speaker is low on power. So just hold on 1 more second. I'm going to switch you over to the phone. Okay, so go ahead and say your last prediction again.
Paul Jobber over Kid Christian.
Okay. And who do you think who's going to be the World Tag Team Champions at the end of Kings of War? The Young Bucks or the Jackson Boys?
I'm going to have to go with the Jackson Boys.
I'm with you on that one. So, Super 32 Championship, we'll skip that one until you make up your mind about what you really want to do, unless you want to make that announcement now.
I think we're going to go with Nick versus AJ. I think that's where it's leaning right now.
Brother versus brother. How about that? All right, so it's...
Jackson Boys have to pull another Ludy, both of them.
Yeah.
If Kyle can go.
Okay. AJ versus the Destroyer. Who's going to be the champion?
I think AJ wins that match.
Fuck. I don't know who to fucking pick. Let me think on this. See, now...
You can come back to that one.
Both of you... see, now... If there's any stark difference between AJ and Nick in the way they wrestle, is that both of them can be underdog from underneath fighters. But AJ once in a while is dominant. When he's on his roll, he's on his roll. Like when he put it together at the end of his match here tonight and won that belt, that was dominant AJ.
Right, but that's not every day, AJ. That's the problem.
No.
You can tell right away in the beginning of the match. But, I mean, he took the Shadow King Shadow Driver. He took, there were some moves.
You're right.
He took some abuse, and Nick can deal it out, with his...
Well, I would say, the odds are is that Nick is definitely is not the favorite in the match. So, you know what? Based off of that, I'm going to go with AJ winning the match. Ryan Crawford returns to the MVWF to take revenge against the man he hates the most in the MVWF, Dennis to take a Hitman Hart. Dennis to take a Hitman Hart is promising a devastating, a devastating detail of some sort. He's got a surprise for G-Man Ryan Crawford. Who do you think's going to win that match?
I'm going to go with Crawford taking the loss.
Taking the loss. I am picking Dennis as well.
I think Crawford's been off too long. He's going to be rusty, and I think...
I'm with you.
I think something's going to happen that's going to cause Crawford that match. I don't know what it is yet, but I think Crawford's ready.
Well, look at you and me. We're all but one match. We've agreed on just about everything here.
So far.
Okay. So yeah, I'm with you on the Dennis thing. I think Dennis is just too goddamn dominant. He was absolutely frightening in that battle royal. He had several eliminations in spite of not winning it. Yeah, Crawford is just, he's on his second strike, man. And I think that the possibility not only of the finish of this match could be a Dennis victory, but the end of G-Man Ryan Crawford's career.
It might be. Those injuries are mounting up on Crawford. I'm just now realizing more and more that Crawford is taking longer and longer to recover from said injuries.
Yeah.
So, this is another head, neck injury, perhaps.
Yep.
We really don't know what he's out with. We really haven't heard, other than he took a fucking whaling.
Yeah.
So
all I can tell you is that but looking objectively at the way things seem to be right now, and I can't help. I'm going to be out of my sling in a few days. The son of a bitch fucking destroyed my arm. I'm not picking him to win this match, and I don't care.
Anyone saw Crawford? He hasn't been around since then.
Yeah.
I said we haven't seen him since then.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, actually, no one's seen him since he got injured, but he came back just to kick your ass. I don't know what you did.
He's cleared to wrestle. That's all I've heard. And I hope Dennis the Hitman fucking puts him on the shelf again. What?
Did you sleep with Hot Asian wife? Is that why Crawford's after you?
No. He's been sending messages around about how, he's first off he's talking about how everything, all the odds are stacked against him. I mean, this guy expects to get some kind of sympathy out of the MVWF after doing all of the things that he's done. Are you kidding me?
That.
Nobody feels bad for him. It's ridiculous.
Well, he did just get married, didn't he?
Yes.
He's got one person who feels sympathy for him.
I'll take that bet.
Maybe we should send Mrs. Crawford an apology gift.
So, the main event. Rock Holly, on his third title defense of his second reign of the MVWF Championship, will go one-on-one with a guy with so much momentum right now with his very first championship match. Kyle Empire challenging Rock Holly for the MVWF Championship. Eddie Stank, pick a winner.
I'm going with Kyle.
Really?
I think the momentum's insane with Kyle right now. And I know it's a tough pick because Rock Holly's just unbeatable. But if Kyle can go, I think he wins. If Kyle can't go, then...
The question about his knee, he, like I said, you had to know after 2 weeks in a row of being attacked with a sledgehammer, hit probably a good 7 or 8 times at this point, that he was poker facing it throughout that match with Kevin Welch.
Yeah. But then again, let's look at it this way. If he can beat Kevin Welch on one leg, I mean, Welch isn't a pushover by any stretch.
No.
I'm not.
And he hit Kyle pretty goddamn hard, too. I mean, he got that suplex powerbomb on the floor. You know what I mean? But Kevin just took way more punishment.
It took 4 fastball punches to put Welch down in that match?
Yep, several, yeah.
So, I will not. I'm going to go with Kyle, if he can wrestle.
Honestly, I feel like I'm trying to overthink it. I'm picking Rock Holly.
Okay.
This setup is too perfect for him. Brandon Bones, G-Man Ryan Crawford was sending a text around this past week about how he sets up his favorites to win. Is there any argument against that point right now, considering that Brandon Bones attacked Kyle Empire's knee, which totally leaves Kyle Empire vulnerable to the figure 4 assault that is known by Rock Holly? You know that Rock Holly that bell is gonna ring, and he's gonna run out there with that chop block and take him out with the knee.
Yep, so that'll be the very first thing he does.
I mean, it's unavoidable.
My question is, why is Brandon Bones attacking Kyle Empire and not Kevin Welch?
Exactly.
What happened between those two gentlemen that we don't know about? Because there was some bad blood between those two for a moment.
Brandon Bones, with his glowing blue eyes and surprising increase in size, not only in body mass but in height. The spell of the Shadow King is powerful.
Brandon Bones joins the League of Shadows, and all of a sudden, he's helping guys that he feuded with prior to. So, is Brandon Bones trying to pull the straight from behind the scenes?
Hey, all I know is that if the Shadow King has made Brandon Bones his thrall and is using him as his pawn to go out there and attack a guy that the Shadow King suffered a pretty serious loss to a while back, which planted one of the seeds that put Kyle in the position that he's in right now to be there. You know, I understand why Brandon Bones is there. Because prior to that, Brandon Bones and Kyle Empire didn't really have any beef with one another and stuff. Brandon Bones is executing the orders of the Shadow King. A guy that Shadow King has issues with. But Kyle Empire is the challenger all the same. And I'm going with Rock Holly. Because now Rock Holly, once he sees this, he will be absolutely relentless and blinders on towards attacking that knee to set up for the figure four to get that submission. I mean, seriously, you're arguing against that.
No, I agree. I think it's what you do. But I think you're right. He's going to be blind to that, and he's going to go after the knee, and he's going to leave everything else that he has exposed. It might set him up for a loss. It was so focused on hitting that knee.
All right, so let's just in review here. Cube versus LBA. AJ picked Cube, as did Eddie Stank. Kayfabe, motherfucker, kayfabe. Eddie Stank picks Cube. Damian Andrews picks Cube. A split on Paul Jobber versus Kid Christian. Eddie Stank picks Paul Jobber. Damian Andrews picks Kid Christian. Both of us have picked the Jackson Boys to successfully defend the tag team titles against the Young Bucks. The newly booked AJ the Giant versus the Destroyer Nick Jackson for the Super 32 Championship. Brother versus brother. Both of us have picked AJ to successfully defend the belt. And, the League of Shadows in a six-man tag against the Spruce Street Butchers. Who are you picking?
League of Shadows.
As am I. We both agreed that Dennis the Hitman Hart was going to defeat the eternally injured He-Man Ryan Crawford. And again, we split on the championship match. Damian Andrews has picked Rock Holly, while Eddie Stank has picked Kyle Empire. It's going to be a pretty big fucking event at Kings of War 2.
Yeah, I would say so. I think this whole season's been one big event. And it's good to see some guys finally breaking through the glass ceiling, getting shot. I mean, we could have a lot of new blood in title pictures if Nick can beat AJ and if Kyle can knock off Rock Holly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's our card right there. A tremendous pay-per-view coming to you a week from today. Finally said it right, goddammit, here in the closer.
Fourth time's fair.
Yeah, no, fucking A. What a night it already was this week of tremendous wrestling action. I am exhausted, so for Eddie Stank, I am Damian Andrews. Thank you for joining us. See you next week. This was the MVWF podcast. We will see you next week, folks. Good night.